back to the channel. The last 24 hours have been absolutely crazy, so I'm just going to dive in. What we're going to be talking about is FTX. What exactly happened? Who seemed to be the players involved? And overall, I just want to get you caught up. Like, over the last 24 hours, I've been in spaces, like the entire time, Twitter spaces. And I've spoken in a few. I've been a listener in a few. I was actually listening to the one last night where Elon Musk popped in and he answered a few questions, and that was pretty fascinating. I'll give you like my recap of how that was when it happened live. And I'm going to fill you in on kind of my understanding of what happened with FTX, along with all of the latest news that we've gotten. And some of it is unverified, so take it with a grain of salt. But this seems to be the narrative that is now being pushed about exactly what went down here. So let's first start with FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried. So the first thing that's very fascinating about this is what FTX was actually doing. So number one, it's quite clear that they seem to have been siphoning and using customer funds. Now, how did that cause them to lose, like, be in debt of 10 to 50 billion? That's the question, right? We don't know. The numbers just keep growing. Well, it turns out what they did is they created an exchange token called FTT, right? Essentially printing money, right? They created their own token. Then what they did is they gave billions of that token to Alameda Research. Sam Bankman-Fried owns 90% of that company. Alameda Research, they have very close ties. Like, the people running Alameda Research apparently are his roommates. So like, they all live together. The people that are like the primary top tier executives in his inner circle from FTX and Alameda Research are all like roommates, and they all live together in this area in the Bahamas. So they're all very close. They're very closely tied into everything they're doing. And it seems what happened was when they created the FTT exchange token, when FTX minted that, they gave a massive supply of it to Alameda Research, and Alameda Research held it in their treasury. Then what Alameda Research did is went out to investors or banks or whoever, and they took loans against that collateral of FTT. So they said, we have billions of dollars in FTT. We don't want to sell it. Let us borrow money, and if anything goes wrong, we can just sell the FTT and give you your money back. So that was really the play they made. But what's shady about that is that, well, there's no liquidity to buy that much FTT. So that means if they ever had to go out and sell that FTT, the price would crash anyways, right? So it was kind of they were literally just creating a fake asset and borrowing against it. And the problem was that because that supply was just hidden by Alameda Research, the price of FTT was staying at a level that gave that extra supply a huge value. People were just assuming that that would never hit the market. One of the earliest angel investors for FTX was CZ Binance and Binance. Now, what FTX did is they bought back the equity that Binance owned in them. So basically the way they did it is with FTT. They gave CZ Binance and Binance whatever, like a couple $1 billion worth of FTT in order to take their equity back. So now they own their company. Well, basically, once CZ Binance figures out that it's apparent that Sam is borrowing against FTT and it's an illiquid asset that they can't sell, so the money doesn't really exist, and he's potentially siphoning customer funds, the narrative now is CZ Binance put out that information about his concerns of FTT and the balance sheet and that he's going to sell it in order to stop what Sam was doing. That's the narrative. It's kind of painting this picture where maybe CZ was in the right. Now, at the end of the day, some people are arguing both ways. They're saying, well, if CZ didn't do anything, we wouldn't be in this situation. Well, I don't know about that. If CZ didn't do anything, then maybe we wouldn't have had this crash right now. But what if FTX kept doing this for another 5 years and invested in more areas of the market, and, more people put their money on the FTX exchange, and then it went down? It would have been much, much worse. So CZ may have mitigated damage in the long term by doing this, if this was exactly what happened. Now, there's more to the story. Once we go into a little bit more information, okay, so during one of the Twitter spaces, this lady comes on, and this lady works at another centralized exchange. So pretty much what she says during the spaces is that Sam was the one responsible for causing the Luna crash. He was the one that provided the liquidity that allowed that to happen, right? He also took down Three Arrows Capital. CZ knew about these things. And apparently that's why back in July, CZ posted something about, he literally, I'll show you the tweet. You could probably see it on the screen right now. It says, so Three Arrows Capital owes Voyager a few hundred million and went bust. FTX and Alameda gives Three Arrow Capital's $100 million, but that didn't save them. Then Alameda invests in Voyager and takes a $377 million loan from Voyager. So they invest in Voyager and then take a $377 million loan. Well, what did they invest with? Did they invest with FTT and then take a loan in USD? I don't know, but very weird. Voyager goes bust. FTX doesn't bail them out like they tried to do apparently with Three Arrows Capital, or return the money. Hard to follow? It is hard to follow. It's very confusing. Like, what is going on? Well, how you invest in a company and then they give you a $377 million loan? It doesn't make sense, right? It's very, very strange what was happening. And it's apparent here that what seems to be occurring is that CZ Binance, since July, is putting all this together. And it's figuring out that there's a big chance that FTX is likely insolvent. And if they're insolvent to a degree that is really going to bankrupt all their customers, clients, projects they're investing in, then that is bad. That's bad for the industry. And that's why CZ is being painted in this light where he was trying to save the industry in the long term. Could it be possible? Yeah. Could he? Some people are saying he was just trying to take out his biggest competition. That's possible too. But I mean, it just doesn't seem like that. Based on how this went out, FTX was insolvent. So it's like, even if he was trying to take them over, it seems like this is a legitimate reason because there is no regulator going in there to figure this stuff out. So pretty much if he didn't do this, we don't know how bad the problem would have gotten. So it's a very weird situation. Let me know your comments on what you think about that. Was CZ in the right or was he in the wrong? So she says that CZ knew about these things, told Sam that, you need to stop these reckless actions, and Sam didn't listen. And basically all of that is what led to CZ Binance tweeting out what he did about selling FTT, which basically triggered the bank run and triggered everything over the last 24 to 48 hours that has really been madness. Okay, so obviously crazy, right? You can see in this tweet here, this was one of the early ones from the guy, Mario, that was hosting one of the Twitter spaces that went just crazy viral. It's the same one that that Elon Musk joined. It says here, SBF responsible for Luna, CZ knew. SBF intentionally took down Three Arrows Capital. SBF moved user funds from FTX to support Alameda. CZ approaches SBF but was ignored, and then CZ tweeted that stuff out as a last resort. His thread has a lot more information. I really recommend following this guy. He's been posting a ton of information. His Twitter spaces blew up yesterday. I think his name is going to be known by most of the media now, and I think as things proceed, he is probably going to turn into one of the bigger names in Twitter spaces when it comes to crypto. So definitely follow him at Mario Nawfal, Mario Nawfal. A lot of other great people to follow too. Just check out some of the people I've recently followed. A lot of them I just met on spaces. Okay, so that's pretty much the gist of everything that happened with FTX and what they were doing financially and what CZ Binance knew and why that tweet went out. So that kind of takes us to when the collapse really began, right? Now, once the collapse began, then other information started coming out, other things started happening. People started to put together some very strange connections with politics and the SEC and FTX. Okay, so let's go over that now. This is going to be the political connections. So the political connections are apparently this. We'll start with this because this is a little weird right here, okay? So take a look. We start down here at the bottom. We have Mr. Glenn Ellison. He's a professor of economics at MIT and the former boss of Gary Gensler. His daughter, none other than Caroline Ellison, CEO of Alameda, who dated SBF. She is the daughter of Glenn Ellison, once again, who is Gary Gensler, the chairman of the SEC. That's his former boss. Okay? That's connection number one. So Caroline Ellison obviously is connected to Sam Bankman-Fried, the CEO of FTX, who obviously is connected to Gary Gensler because Gary Gensler is the head of the SEC, and a lot of regulation that senators are trying to pass right now for crypto and DeFi are coming with support of Sam Bankman-Fried. So it's a very, very strange situation. I don't think any of this has been proven that Gary Gensler has any ties to what has happened here, but you gotta admit, this is a little weird, right? Gary Gensler's former boss, that dude's daughter, Caroline Ellison, is the CEO of Alameda, and she dated Sam Bankman-Fried. Sam Bankman-Fried is working on getting things through Congress for DeFi at the same time where Gary Gensler is pretty much trying to lead crypto regulation. What is going on here? This seems too weird to be just random connections, but I don't know. I mean, this is very, very strange. Okay, so now we come down to this tweet here, okay? And check this out, what this says. April 25th, 2019, Biden announces his presidential campaign. 13 days later, Sam Bankman-Fried launches the FTX crypto exchange. Sam's mom, Barbara Fried, she is a co-founder of political fundraising organizations. Basically, in that campaign, SBF was the second biggest donor to Joe Biden. All right, let's take a look here. Here you can see from Open Secrets. These are Joe Biden's donation list, the top contributors, okay? Look down at the bottom here. We see Alameda Research. They donated $6.242 million. FTX.us donated $5.22 million. Combined, that is $11.5 million. $11.5 million donated by FTX US and Alameda Research to Joe Biden's campaign for the presidency. Joe Biden names Gary Gensler, chairman of the SEC. Gary Gensler's former boss, Greg Ellison, his daughter, just so happens to be the CEO of Alameda, which is the arm of FTX, or the company working with FTX where they're living together, and it is the one borrowing all this liquidity and doing all the trading and losing all the money. It's absolutely wild. These connections are crazy. You can see the headlines. They keep going. Fortune magazine, all right? This is November 10th, 2 days ago. Oops, SBF's implosion took down Democrats' second biggest donor as its party's with it as the party gears up to regulate crypto. Okay, we keep going, all right? Tom Emmer, Republican senator or something. There's a Republican Tom Emmer. He says, interesting, Gary Gensler runs to the media while reports to my office allege he was helping SBF and FTX work on legal loopholes to obtain a regulatory monopoly. We're looking into this. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Republican Tom Emmer, Minnesota's 6th district. He's a congressman from Minnesota's 6th district. Okay, so all this news is coming in, all these connections are being made, and then some other crazy stuff starts happening last night. It seems as if FTX got hacked. You basically see more than $400 million worth of crypto starts leaving the FTX wallets. And it's clearly bad actors, because in one case, I saw someone post a picture of like Etherscan or something like that, where they were making trades with up to $8 million in slippage, right? So they were doing whatever they could to wash that money and move it. And it's kind of nuts. Two of the wallets that held, I don't remember exactly how much money. I've been awake for too long, but it held millions of dollars. Like I think upwards of 20 million maybe, or something like that. Two of those Tether wallets were frozen by Tether. Not that decentralized, I guess, when it comes to Tether. But anyways, yeah, absolutely insane. And basically what ended up happening is it seems like that hack was trying to funnel funds out, and then you had the good guys, or like the bankruptcy people that are supposed to come in and secure the funds, secure all the rest of the funds to cold wallets. So it seems like, up out of 900 million or something, like maybe 60% of it was, moved away by the hackers. And then the remaining portion of it was put into cold storage by the bankruptcy folks. So what does that mean for, all that money that the hackers took? I don't know. I mean, I'm sure we're going to find out. I'm sure all these other protocols will start working with the authorities to get that money back, and we'll see how that plays out. But it's entirely fascinating what's happening here. Later, you had two guys named, these two NFT dudes. I don't know. I'll try to put up their names or show them to you, like over here when I'm talking. But these two guys fly to the Bahamas, and they're trying to talk to people and basically find SBF. Can they find Sam and see where this dude is? Can they confirm sightings, like take photos, whatever? They go to the Bahamas, and apparently from everyone that they talked to, he was still in the Bahamas. Reports had come in last night that he had fled to Argentina. It turns out that that's likely false, but apparently he was seen in a place called Albany, I believe, in the Bahamas. It's like a place that's like a gated community. They couldn't really go in there. Authorities were at the FTX headquarters. And from what I understand, he is just at this, Albany Tower where he lives. And he's like, there's no way to get in there or anything, and he's likely, I'm assuming, if he's there, he's likely being held there by authorities. That's my assumption. It's not proven. There are no photos or anything like that. Now, Elon Musk, how does he play into all this? So last night, while these Twitter spaces are going on, it was like I was in that space for like 8 hours maybe, and while that we're in that space and people are giving like real-time updates, Elon Musk just shows up. He just rolls up to the room, and pretty much he did say a few things of note, and one of them, obviously, Elon Musk, he says Doge to the moon. So, I mean, I can understand what he sees in Doge. It's basically the closest thing to a currency than anything else. It has like a built-in 3% inflation. Like, I get it. And he sees the value of that versus the dollar because central banks aren't there to just screw up the monetary supply. So I get what he sees there. But as far as how he's going to turn that into really something usable, we have yet to find out. So we'll see what happens with that. But Elon comes in, he says Doge to the moon. They ask him what his thoughts are on all this, and he's like, don't trust centralized exchanges, not your keys, not your crypto, not your keys, not your wallet. Like, that's what he said, and he's absolutely right. And he also said that he thinks in the long term that if you're holding Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Dogecoin, you'll probably be okay as long as it's in a cold wallet. Basically, his 2 cents were, do not trust centralized exchanges and use cold wallets. And I couldn't agree with him more. He also tweeted that, as Twitter pursues the goal of elevating citizen journalism, media elite will try everything to stop that from happening. And I think part of the reason he said that is because citizen journalism was really what was going on last night with crypto, right? You started having people coming together with, you had on-chain analysts, you had people that were actually in like different places of the world, former people that worked with people that worked with other exchanges that were in the know. You had a guy come on that used to be an auditor for FTX, and he started, talking about what he knows and what he assumes. And, you just had all this information coming on. And basically that Alameda security guy that came on and started, he was like a guy that was contracted to do like data security for Alameda. This dude says that from everything he can tell, the hack seems to be internal. It didn't seem to be an external hack, meaning that it was likely SBF's inner circle that was trying to siphon that money out. And they also said that there was something called the Mango hack. I guess there was some other protocol called Mango, and that was hacked. And that was funded by an FTX wallet. And when they discovered that and brought that up to Sam and the rest of his, leadership team, they were just ghosted. Like, nobody ever responded to them about this. So that's a little weird. He thought that was weird. And basically, yeah, kind of crazy. Another piece of information that came in last night is that while all this was happening, the historical API of FTX was wiped by the hackers. So that means that, the API would be the application user interface. If you wipe that API history and it has all your transactions, if you're doing transactions between Alameda and FTX via this API, and you wipe all those logs, well, then that transaction history could be gone. So maybe that's what they're trying to do. Maybe they're trying to cover their tracks so there's no proof that they were siphoning customer funds into Alameda. Or maybe that it's more difficult to prove. Or maybe it's harder to prove who did it, like who was the one who issued these commands on the APIs. So apparently that seems to have been wiped, and it's unlikely that a hacker would have gone in and had a reason to wipe that. Right? It's the only person that stands to benefit from that information being wiped is someone on the inside who was complicit. So once again, I'm going to say that I don't know if all these things are true. I mean, it seems pretty credible based on the amount of people that were coming in and who they were. And it's just wild. It's absolutely wild. I would say the only thing that, it's hard to recommend anything at this point. I would say just be comfortable with the risk that you're taking. Literally anything can happen. We don't know what the political ties mean. We don't know what it means for regulation. Like 2 of the senators that were working closely with Sam to issue bills on crypto are now trying to say it's more important than ever that you do it. And I'm like, dude, why would you just rush to pass bills that this guy was involved in? Obviously, if Sam Bankman-Fried was involved in the bills, then they likely would have helped his empire of corruption, right? So you probably want to review those bills and do the opposite. You know what I mean? That's my take on it. It just doesn't make sense. I don't know everything that's in those bills. I got to read them, but that's pretty crazy to me that they would just immediately move forward with everything. Well, anyways, that is kind of the entire update. That's what's really happened between now and yesterday. So I took the last 24 of my hours, pretty much -6 because I slept for 6 hours, and I have filled you in on possibly everything that I could fill you in on. This is everything that I've come across so far. I'm sure I missed a few things, but I think I got the gist of everything. So you can see why this is so complex. I would say that for right now, mitigate your risk. Definitely take your stuff off exchanges and put them on the cold wallets. Make sure you are well aware of how to use the cold wallets. Don't lose your seed phrases. Like, don't take photos of them with your phone. Memorize them, write them down, keep them secure, and just stop trusting exchanges until we know really how bad the contagion is going to get, right? We don't know how far this really impacted people. Like, BlockFi is a company that operates here out of the US, and apparently they stopped withdrawals, and there are reports coming out that they held all their assets on FTX, right? We don't know what's true and what's not right now, but for right now, take everything off exchanges and just keep it secure on your own. That's the smartest thing to do. The reason all this happened is because it was on a centralized exchange without the transparency that DeFi provides. So in reality, all this stuff that's happened is like a major case for why we need DeFi and why we need to get rid of centralized exchanges. But unfortunately, regulatory wise, it's not going to be treated that way. And users will obviously be saying, hey, you should have done something to help me and that kind of stuff. And you can't blame them. The problem this has that it could set back innovation depending on how far this contagion goes and what the real impacts are. So my perspective on this right now is to play it safe. Whatever I think is going to be doing well, the winners that I'm picking, as I would in the stock market or anywhere else, I'm going to continue dollar cost averaging into them. I'm not going to overly expose myself. And at the same time, I'm actually going to take that approach with Bitcoin as well. Like, I think Bitcoin's at a terrific price right now. I can't even believe the price that it is, 16,000. Last buy for me was 15.7 and then 16.2. And now I'm just waiting it out. I'm going to see, does the price drop more if contagion really takes effect through the markets and fear spreads? Will I get to buy a little bit cheaper? I hope I do. That'd be cool. But I'm also not going to complain if it goes back up to 25, 30K. I'll feel very comfortable there. But if I get better opportunities, I'm going to take them. So right now, I'm just not taking any risks. I'm just kind of taking a step back, and I'm going to be monitoring, and I'm going to be seeing what's going on. Technical analysis right now, I know I'd love to show you some TA. 2 days ago, I was planning on it. But then after all this happened, it's like you take through TA and throw it out the window, because whatever the charts are telling you, the next day, one tweet from someone big in this market or some big new piece of news from all of this could completely change markets. So it's really not too valuable to do TA right now. I think what's more valuable right now is to see what comes of all of this, to understand everything that's happened, to do your research and try to form your own opinions and decide where you see things going and what you think is safe and what you think is not. And if you feel that you are overly exposed somewhere, maybe make changes to make sure that you're less risk averse, right? Focus on your own risk right now. And I wish you all the best. I hope you found this informative and fun, because I'm exhausted now. I think I'm going to sleep for like 24 hours. All right, you guys, take it easy. I'll see you soon. Hopefully we'll have some TA soon. If we don't have TA soon, I have other videos that I've been planning for a while that are more related to global economics and inflation and all that stuff. So we'll see what we want to do on that. But for the most part, it's good to be back. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.